Now, are you stuffing your content? What I mean is, are you trying to fit every single idea into one post, one live, one video? Because it's natural and it happens to all of us. I have been guilty of this in the past because I'm very long winded. I have so many ideas and I love to just share value with my audience. It's easy to start writing and want to share everything in your brain, right? You want to share your expertise, your knowledge. You want to give gold to your audience. It becomes word vomit. But what can end up happening if there isn't intentionality and it isn't succinct is that it can end up confusing your audience and take away from the message that you want to convey to them. Okay? People end up not paying attention to what you're putting out anymore. And so you don't see the traction in leads, meaning people coming into your world and sticking around to learn more, and inquiries, meaning people reaching out to you, whether it's in a DM or booking your sales calls that you had expected. Because when you post, it's not congruent, it's not aligned, it's too many ideas. And so it's not hitting the way it needs to hit, it's not giving what it needs to give. And so it happens, and that is unfortunately the repercussions of that. Okay. Now, I did talk about intentionality and hooks and CTAs in the last 2 days in this snackable training. So if you haven't checked those trainings out, please go back and go check it out. There's a hashtag on this video somewhere called hashtag snackable trainings. All of them have it. Just click on that hashtag and it will take you back to the other trainings if you're not on my profile watching this video. Okay. Again, like I said, I see this happen quite a bit, and it's an honest mistake. But I'm going to show you how to spot it when it's happening, what to do about it, and then what are some tweaks you can make so that your message comes across clear and you're able to convey what you need to and want to your audience so that they actually do take action on whatever it is you want them to do. Okay. Now, if we're meeting for the first time, my name is Oninya Nike. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of three, a coach, a business strategist, a best-selling author, podcaster, YouTuber, you name it. And I help coaches to master their unique marketing message so that they can attract premium clients consistently in their business. Okay. Now let's see my notes. So what ends up happening when you have too many ideas is it creates overwhelm. And our brains love simplicity. You'll hear me say this all the time. I talk a lot about brain. By the way, I'm wearing my, I don't know if you can see it, my the Life Coaching School shirt. This is Brooke Castiles. If you follow her, I'm all about the model and the brain and how that ties into marketing and our message. So too many ideas can create overwhelm and confusion for your audience, even for you, which means that your audience, they won't be able to take action because they're not going to get what you need them to do or be able to connect the dots in your content to reasonably make the decision or to take the action of whatever it may be that you want them to do, whether it's sign up for your masterclass or reach out to you in the DMs or book a call. Okay. They're going to miss the point that you're trying to make if there's too many ideas floating around in your piece of content. Statistically speaking, people only remember like a very small percentage. I think about 10% of whatever they hear and see because we're so inundated, constantly bombarded with, information everywhere, advertisement, everything, right? The social media world, everything. The minute you pick up your phone, there's a million different things, especially when you're on social media. So there's a lot that's coming into their brains. They're not absorbing every single piece of content that they're seeing. They're not absorbing every video that they're watching. They may watch something, right? We all have watched something, but can you verbatim say exactly everything you've heard, right? Can you reiterate or bring back what was said? For every post that you've seen, can you verbatim be like, oh yeah, nah, this post talk about this and this post talk about, no, most people don't. They just glance, they read through it, awesome, and they move on. They do not remember it. So we've got to create That's why I have a snackable trainings. Things, whether it's your live, your videos, your posts, they need to be really concise and succinct so that there's just one main point that people can walk away with. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to audit your content, review your content, and make sure that you've only focused on one main idea. There's one big takeaway, right? That's coming out from that piece of content. It's the reason why these last couple of days I've only been sharing maybe all of the main ideas still around your messaging and content, but I'm sharing maybe 1 or 2 tips each day because I don't want to overwhelm you with there's 20 different tips, but I'm only sharing 1 or 2 each day because if I were to share 20, you would not remember 20. You wouldn't even remember 5. You'd probably remember 1 or 2 that really stuck out to you, but the rest you become overwhelmed, you forget life would happen, you go about your day, right? So I keep these really succinct and short, and I give you 1 or 2 really key things so that you can walk away and actually implement on them, but not feel overwhelmed and lose sight of the main purpose and the main point, okay? So go back and review your content and make sure that you're only focusing on one key point. This is a skill. This requires practice. This requires refinement. It requires you doing it over and over again and catching that whenever you're doing it, okay? Now, as you're writing, if other ideas come up, which they will happen, you want to save them, put them to the side, and create a whole new post based on that new idea. Now you have a ton of content for yourself for the next week, month, maybe even years, depending on what's coming for you, what's coming up for you. So an example would be, let's say you want to talk about how to gain muscle, and your main idea is focused around the importance of sleep when it comes to, gaining muscle, right? Like that's a very unique angle. How does sleep contribute to muscle gain? But then as you're writing, then you want to talk about maybe exercise and strength training, maybe cardio workouts. And then you're like, oh, well, nutrition is a big part of it too, right? Now you started to flood this post and and add too many things, too many ideas, too many points. It becomes a blog post instead of a social media post. And you've kind of diluted your main point, which was sleep being the main focus around muscle gain. This, of course, does not take away from the fact that those other aspects are important for muscle gain. But what it does is it doesn't really allow you to really hone in and go as deep as you can about this one topic, this one subject that you really want to maybe shift a perspective or belief or understanding or educate your audience around. Okay? Because the focus was the impact of sleep on muscle growth, not nutrition, not exercise, not the other things that are also important. Okay? Now, that being said, if you want to then incorporate those other ideas, you can pick those out and make them separate posts because they're separate ideas when it comes to the overall muscle gain. How that happens. You can say, okay, let's talk about nutrition, and now you can dive into nutrition because there's so many different nutrition and diet plans and things like that. You can talk about cardio. What is cardio? Like, what does that look like? How does cardio show up? How can you do it at home, at work, whatever, right? There's so many mini content pieces, mini ideas and topics that you can then pull out from that and create a ton of content by the way, with that, but that do not dilute your main point when you're creating that first piece of content, right? So you can finish, talking about focus on the sleep piece, and then you can break up the other pieces and create different pieces of content, still tying back to muscle gain from those different pieces of content. What you can do is even a mini series like this, right? You can create a mini series where the main purpose, the big broad idea is how to gain muscle, but now you've branched out. Have you ever seen the content buckets? You've branched out and you've given sleep is one bucket, exercise is one bucket. Maybe you can even break down exercise to cardio and resistance training, and even go even deeper than that. Nutrition is another bucket, and now you can talk about that and how does that all tie into it. But they're all separate ideas, separate topics that you want to give them their own stage in order to really help your audience grasp, how they all play a part in the ultimate muscle gain goal, if that makes sense. Okay. So take your time. And again, you can make this a series. You can also create posts and then point back to that. Like You can point back and say, hey, if you want to know the full, story, or you want to learn more, go back to this post or watch this video or whatever it may be. Okay. So your assignment for today implementation is to go back and audit your content, really read through it and see if it's very clear and concise. What is the main point you're making with your content? Or does it have too many, other ideas and other topics? Does it kind of diverge? Do you have squirrel moments? Squirrel moment. A squirrel moment is basically you start talking about one thing, but then you go into another thing, and then somehow you're on a whole different path. You're talking about a whole different thing that has nothing to do with what you originally wanted to. So take the time to really see, is that what's happening in your content? Are you adding extra things? Are you stuffing it so it sounds really intelligent, but it's missing the mark? Because our brains love simplicity, and the more complex it is, the more we lose sight of what you're trying to show us, where the path you're trying to take your audience through, the journey you're trying to take them through, to connect the dots to your idea, to your specific desired goal for them, right? The lesson you want them to take away, the action you want them to take, the feeling you want them to have, or the thoughts you want them to have or experience after reading your content. Okay. Now, of course, this takes time. Like I said, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. It takes, really just looking at it and dissecting it and working on it time and time, and putting it out there and coming back and refining it to see what works. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're watching the snackable trainings, we will be continue to dive into these content, these messaging mistakes and hacks and ways that you can really clean it up for yourself. So stay tuned to these trainings so that you get more clarity. Okay. Now, as always, if you want to move faster and have my eyes on your content, whether it's your video content or your posts or whatever it may be, so I can support you in refining and clarifying and mastering your message, your offers, all the things that you need to consistently attract and land more perfect fit clients in your business, then obviously you know where I am. Send me a DM, whether if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, send me a DM in my messenger. If you're on YouTube, just comment below on this video, and I'll follow up with you. Okay. And then we'll chat and we'll see how I can help support you in really up leveling your business and your messaging and your offers. Okay. Until Monday, my friends, have an amazing weekend. If you're just joining us for the first time, say hello in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this is a mistake that you're making as well, or something that you never really thought about, but you're like, wait, let me go back, let me go check and see if that may be coming up for me in my content, and reworking some of your stuff. Okay. Again, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Take care.